Their Navy is totally gone, 100%. Their Air Force is totally gone, 100%. Their military, we've sort of left it alone because we think that their military is somewhat moderate.
Donald Trump has dementia, and everybody can see it. Every time he speaks and then forgets what he said moments before. Every time Donald Trump is asked a question and just can't remember the answer that his handlers told him to give. Every time Donald Trump is in public, it becomes even clearer that he is in deep cognitive decline. And that is what we saw once again, his dementia caught on camera. And it comes as doctors are calling out the fact that Donald Trump's brain don't think good no more. And Donald Trump is bragging that it does when it does not, only cementing the fact that the White House is hiding it. Donald Trump is deteriorating before our very eyes. We are going to get into it all, but before we do, if I could quickly ask you to leave a like on this video, and if you haven't already and you enjoy our channel, to hit that subscribe button because it goes a long way in supporting our work. Now I want to get to the moment when Donald Trump's dementia was caught on camera, the moment that his handlers are terrified of. But I first want to start with Dr. Jonathan Reiner, who has been making headlines all week after Donald Trump's visit to Walter Reed, in which he assessed what amounted to a non-visit, just a fake visit, a performative visit from Trump that we have no info on, especially when it relates to Donald Trump's cognitive state.
Again, that it looks like they once again tested the president with the Mocha test. That's really not that useful when you take it over and over and over again because the questions don't really change that much.
This is the cognitive test that you're referring to?
Yeah, the Montreal Cognitive Assessment Test. The 30 questions, it begins with sort of connect the dots. They ask you to draw a clock at a certain time. They ask you to sketch a cube, to copy a cube. They show you 3 animals. And they ask you to count backwards from 100 by 7. And then, the test ends essentially with asking you to name the day, date, month, and place. So it's not a difficult test, and once you've taken it now 4 times, it's probably not that difficult to pretty easily get through it. And once
we
again,
all know
it shouldn't be hard to get through it anyway because it's a dementia screening test, not an IQ test.
Yeah, the president is one to regularly brag that he aces that test. So we see that he's taken it yet again in this latest physical.
Donald Trump didn't get a real cognitive screening. That is what is clear. Anytime they are doing scans for Donald Trump at this point, I think it has become performative. And this is a kind of theory that my friend Jennifer Welch had. I'm sure you all are fans of the I've Had It podcast, but she said that Donald Trump probably online scrolling one night saw a free IQ test. He clicked on it and he did horribly. And ever since then he has been obsessed with having a high IQ. It's why he talks about Jasmine Crockett or AOC, mostly women and women of color having low IQs, because Donald Trump himself actually does, and he is obsessed with that concept. And so he likes to frame these tests as IQ tests, rather than tests of whether or not he should be able to drive and speak in public, which of course we know the answer to that is no. And it's why Donald Trump does big boasts, big brags like this on his Truth Social post, which funny enough came hours after the moment that he forgot his own presidency on camera. So Donald Trump took to Truth Social this morning at 5:35 a.m., in the wake of us all seeing his dementia on camera, to write, "The results of my physical examination taken at Walter Reed Military Medical Center and just released were extremely good, the most extreme good. Unlike other US presidents, none of whom have ever taken an approved high-difficulty cognitive test, I scored a perfect 30 out of 30, considered extreme intelligence." Again, this is not an IQ test, not an aptitude test, it's a "Are you cognitively there" test. They ask you the date. Are the Democrats really surprised? In fact, this is my 4th such test. All perfect or 120 correct answers out of 120 correct questions asked. It is very rare that anyone gets a perfect score, especially when achieved 4 times in a row. Again, Donald Trump is taking the same exact test. All people running for president and vice president should be forced to take a high-difficulty cognitive test. Congress and Democrats should demand it. President Donald J. Trump. Now, it's funny. Trump posted this in response to him, of course, forgetting everything and showing us his dementia on camera. But he doesn't remember that he previously said that Congress can't do it, that it's illegal to ask people to take cognitive tests, which is just not the case. So that's another thing he forgot. But I always try to make clear whenever this comes up. This is not a happy test. Again, it's not an IQ test to see how smart you are. This is a very sad test that you would give to a loved one if you were worried that maybe they need some support at home, or need to be moved to a home, or maybe that there is something deeper wrong with them. Because again, dementia can develop early in people. That is the type of test that Donald Trump is taking. It's not about how jolly and great and really up for the job you are. Which is why no one is surprised that he's bragging about it, because it's a lie, and that's the type of stuff he brags about. But when we're facing facts, when we're facing the truth, when we're facing video, just take a look at Donald Trump forgetting the statement that he made moments before in these two back-to-back clips.
Their Navy is totally gone, 100%. Their Air Force is totally gone, 100%. Their military, we've sort of left it alone because we think that their military is somewhat moderate. They have other people that aren't moderate. We've taken them out. We've taken different forms of leadership out. We've actually left their military alone. People would be surprised to hear that, because mistakes have been made in wars where you wipe out everybody and then you have a country that's, for 40 years can never rebuild. You look at what happened with Iraq. We did so. Iran is in a very bad position. They have no military. All they have is good talk, and they have a fake press. The fake news is probably their biggest asset. And I put something out on Truth the other day that I think was very profound. It said that we wipe out their military, we wipe out their Navy, their Air Force, their anti-aircraft.
A direct flip-flop from Donald Trump. One moment, they have no military. We wiped it out completely. Quite frankly, what a great job we did with the military. The next moment, actually we're going to leave the military. People would be surprised that we left the military. And he does this all the time on his war on Iran. Donald Trump says in one moment that the Strait of Hormuz has never been more open, and we love how open it is, so open that we're actually making money off of it and we don't even need it. And then the next moment he says we need to get it open. But Donald Trump in back-to-back clips is saying, we've eliminated their military and it's all gone. And then we didn't really touch the military because some people think you should, but we shouldn't do that. Now, the real reason Donald Trump is saying this is because he has been made well aware that in fact, all this bragging that you hear from Pete Hegseth or the stooges who suck up to this government, the sick offensives of Trump and his endless useless war killing innocent civilians, spending billions of dollars, Donald Trump hasn't eliminated the military of Iran. The drone capacity, the missile capacity that Donald Trump said was at zero, they've eliminated about 30% of it. 30%. And this what seems like an endless campaign of death and destruction? 30%. So it has been a failed operation from the leadership at the top. Right? Now, this never should have happened to begin with. I'm not cheering for them to get that number all the way up to 100%, that would be idiotic. But what Donald Trump is not able to articulate is the truth. 1. Because he either doesn't know it, or 2. The more likely answer, because he does know it, and he just doesn't know how he wants to frame it. Either he can lie and say we've completely decimated their military, or say another lie that we never even tried, but only to save face on the failed operation. But either way, Donald Trump's dementia is on display. One moment he's saying one thing, the next moment he's saying another. And not only is this tough for the handlers who are certainly worried about Donald Trump's ability to articulate the reason that we are in this reasonless war, but it should give no one confidence that we should stay in it. If Donald Trump cannot make decisions, and I'm going to laugh when I say this, but strategize, the man has no strategy. He has no objective. He has no goal. But if he can't even keep straight basic facts or realities on the ground, then what is the framework with which he is making decisions about what comes next? There is none. It does not exist. So Donald Trump's dementia is not something to just poke at or laugh at. Sometimes it is, but it is a real existential threat to us all. Our safety and our well-being and the safety and the well-being of the rest of the world. If Donald Trump is going to continue his out-of-control endless campaign of killing, that is a real problem. And that is how it should be talked about. And it is why I am insistent that the mainstream media do a better job covering Donald Trump's cognitive decline. You know, it's something I always talk about. And it's a reason why I don't want to throw in a cheap plug. But I launched a new show today alongside Midas Touch, premiering on Midas Touch and this channel. On Sunday, I interviewed Bernie Sanders. We talked about AI and some dating advice. I talked with Ro Khanna about the Epstein files and the future of the Democratic Party. I talked with Joy Reid about the future of new media and the lessons that need to be learned from Black history and Black revolutionaries, especially in this moment. I'll have it linked down below and at the end of the show. But it is why we need new media. It is why it is so important. It is why Midas Touch is so important. Why I'm so glad to be working with them on this project. That is what we need, and we need voices who are going to push back against the establishment and just shoot straight. And certainly Bernie Sanders, I was so glad to interview him, did that. We'll also be posting that full video on the channel soon, so you'll see it again. But also someone who is supporting and should be, because he will make a great senator, that is Graham Platten. He had a lot to say right here.
Yeah, well, thanks for having us, Chris. And this morning, actually, Senator Sanders was gracious enough to honor the town of Sullivan, Maine, which is my hometown, to join us at our Memorial Day event. Memorial Day is always a complicated day, I think, for those of us who saw a lot of combat. It's a day where we want to remember, and we need to not forget those who made the ultimate sacrifice. But as you mentioned, it's also a day which a lot of people in our society treat as like a holiday. And that's always a little complicated, I think, for those of us who remember our friends who we lost. It's also, quite frankly, at this day and age, a reminder that the best way for us to honor those who have sacrificed for this country is to not create more opportunities for government to waste people's lives like we are seeing in the war in Iran. I very much believe that we need to take moments like today and realize that we have a resource in this country, and the young men and women who are willing to serve it, and it cannot be squandered lightly. And I very much believe that we need to build a politics in the future that takes it seriously enough to not start wars like Iraq or Afghanistan or what's happening in Iran, and realize that the best respect that we can show is by only using it in times when absolutely necessary.
This is the messaging that we need. Very clear, very concise, spoken from a personal place, as Donald Trump clearly has no idea what's going on with his war. And we are going to continue to call it all out on this show every single day. And if you want to support that, as always, you can hit that subscribe button, leave a like on this video. If you stuck around to the end, drop a blue heart in the comments. Make sure to go watch it. It'll be here or here. The new episode, the premiere of On Sunday, a new Sunday show with Midas Touch. It's fantastic. I'll also link it down below. Keep on fighting, y'all. Don't let them silence you.